Hi, I'm Prashant. I'm CEO at Zingbus. At Zingbus, for the past 6 years, we have been changing how people travel between Indian cities, one route, one journey, one bus at a time. We keep technology at the heart of everything that we build so that the product that we offer is consistent to the evolving needs of the Indian traveler and is factoring in the evolving space of form factor like electric buses. Unlike what most people believe, electric mobility is not a fad, but a generational shift into the supply ecosystem of passenger mobility. It not only makes travel more greener, cleaner, increases our self-reliance in terms of energy, but it also makes traveling intercity more safer, convenient, and noiseless for travelers. At Zingbus, we are doing our own bit to make sure that more than 100,000 buses transition into electric in a seamless fashion. Our vision is to help deploy more than 1,000 electric buses on the intercity corridors of India in the next 3 to 4 years. To talk more on this, we have a very special guest, Sophia Nadur, who is a managing director at BP Ventures for India and Asia Pacific. In the last 8 years, she has helped multiple companies across the globe to transition their respective ecosystems from ICE to electric. Hi, Sophia.
Hi,
Thank you for
Prashant.
joining us today. Really glad to host you. Can you tell us how you ended up in EV as a space? What direction do you feel this ecosystem is going into? And what are the aspects that you love about this space?
Okay, so first of all, I've kind of come into EV maybe in a non-traditional way. I spent 25 years working in the consumer goods industry, really deeply understanding consumer needs and also building go-to-market offers. And I went to Norway on a holiday and rented an EV. And it was the most exhilarating experience in my life. Not just having to wrap the corners of the mountainsides of Norway in a car that was just frictionless, just absolutely stunning speed and smoothness and silence. But I had my back catalog of all the music I grew up with on Spotify on the radio, and
wow.
that really got me excited. This was a different way to drive than I'd ever driven before. And also, I knew that there was a guy who's the CEO of Octopus Energy, a guy called Greg Jackson. He lives in central London. I met up with him once, and he said to me that I have an EV. I'm like, how can you have an EV? You live in the city. How can you manage that? He said, it's easy. You can do it if you make an effort. And that kind of made me realize that actually there was a new way to move that people were really yearning. And so BP had a job ad on LinkedIn, and literally I applied on LinkedIn for this job, which was basically e-mobility, come and help innovate BP, energy company, to respond to this e-mobility challenge. And what I did was that I joined BP and I helped design BP's e-mobility program globally. And then because of that, I realized that India at the time was not yet well developed as an EV market. This was around 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
So I thought, let me go into ventures because I knew a lot about mobility by that time. Let me go into this corporate venture capital part of BP and help scale up some of these young tech-driven companies, help scale them up and help them to accelerate the transition to EV. So a bit non-standard, but I've really enjoyed it.
That's great to hear. So someone who had the benefit of seeing how this space has evolved globally, right, in different kind of form factors, in different kind of geographies with their unique set of challenges, and given that India is the ecosystem has evolved rapidly, but are still at a nascent scale when compared to other APAC countries and similar economies. What do you, as advice, what do you have for companies like Zingbus who is trying to help the legacy players in our space transition into electric vehicles? And
I think the challenge is that everybody falls in love with the technology, but actually you're dealing with the same people, the same fleet managers, the same consumers, the same corporate procurement officers who look at cost, look at the bottom line.
of course.
So how do you develop an offers? How do you develop products and services that also are meeting the same sort of cost challenges that they have to deal with every day? And being able to provide a superior service, that's what consumers are actually looking for. So really understanding how can you develop, let's say, lowest cost to serve, and make sure that you have good low cost of ownership. It helps to make sure that your operations are running very efficiently. But actually, at the end of the day, the other thing to think about is that given some of the benefits of electric, with smoothness, with interconnectivity, that allows you to then build a number of products and services which customers love. So your Max product, your Plus products are fabulous. And that's partly built on the fact that you've got a great EV platform to work with.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So how I hear is basically without either making sure that the cost of owning that vehicle or traveling in that vehicle gets a haircut because of the transition into EVs, and at the same point of time making sure that the experience of the users gets further improved.
Because consumers are going to expect more.
Yeah.
Because when they hear that they're riding in an electric bus, all of a sudden they're looking for something different.
They're looking for something different. Yeah.
And apart from just, oh, it's quieter, after a while, nobody cares about that. They're looking for something on top of, because now you're offering something which is more frictionless, more friendly, and it's more involved in their life. And so they're always looking for more. So it's a pressure of actually having an electric bus business over time that customers are going to expect more and more. But you can do it. Because for me, what you've seen is that electric platforms allow a lot of other services, both software and physical stuff, to enable a better experience for customers.
Yeah, it's a new way of mobility altogether. The customers also love brand which are more environment friendly. The customers love brand who keep the users and the ecosystem at the heart of everything that they build. That is what we have seen with our evolution over time with the Max, with the electric product. If we keep customers at the heart of everything that we build, there is an absolute positive traction that we are able to see. On that front, I would. There are a lot of other industries also. One of them being how the IoT ecosystem has evolved. How we were earlier talking about the battery ecosystem, the second life asset ecosystem. How have you seen all of those evolving in economies where electric has been for around a decade, probably in China or some other geographies? How have you seen those ecosystems evolving?
So I'll give an example. So I started owning an EV about 9 years ago. I now have solar panels on my roof. I have a battery, and I have a charger at home. And for me and for many households, if you have that luxury, the interconnectivity and the ability for these bits of hardware to work together seamlessly is something which it's now become. I expect this now. Also, when you think of commercial and a commercial ecosystem, how does the OEMs, how do they connect with the IoT to ensure seamlessness? How do you ensure that there is more understanding of, let's say, the state of health of a battery, how a battery is performing over time? A lot of that stuff you can get insights from because of the connectivity between the software and where the IoT works with hardware. None of that really existed before at the fingertips of an operator. Now you have that, and that helps not just ensure, let's say, the longevity of the bus, but it also helps you then to think about what else can you offer customers based on the level of IoT that's operating right now or available right now for
more
people
connected product and a more connected ecosystem like benefit all of the stakeholders.
Yes.
Whether it be the travelers or the bus owners, the bus operators, the crew, right? It makes the product more digital. It makes the upkeep and the maintenance of the buses easier, which in turn makes travel more convenient and safer for everyone.
I'm glad you mentioned that point, safe, because I think what we see now is that because of this EV platform and all of the IoT devices that are available, you're seeing more and more tools, more and more devices to make sure that that journey is not just affordable and convenient, but is safe. And that's something which it's great to see more and more young companies developing products which can also help Zingbus become an even safer offer for customers over time.
Yeah. So we believe that at everything that we create in Zingbus, and this is something that we have also learned from BP in our interaction for the past 1 year or roughly 1.5 years, is that when we are building and product which we truly believe to be new age, right? It has to keep safety at the heart of everything that they build, because it not only makes the traveler more confident about choosing this form factor, but it also establishes long-term confidence in the ecosystem that they are transitioning into the right direction, from an form factor standpoint, from a basic operations standpoint, and in turn it makes that form factor more popular across distances, across different kind of connections. For example, in today's in the state that Zingbus is today, our shortest route that we run is about 200 kilometers in length, and the longest route that we run is actually about 1,000 odd kilometers. Uh, we operate across 18 states in the country. There are different kind of routes, different kind of terrains, right? And a form factor which is able to run across these different kind of geographies, serving different kind of use cases, needs to establish safety not as a feature, but as a core USP of the services getting offered.
Especially when you're in a business where fixed routes and being able be offering a service that you can deliver people safely to the next point on time, it's pretty paramount. So understanding and being able to predict what lies ahead of that driver along that route, what sort of obstacles, what sort of issues that they may face and may have to deal with, and be able to provide some of those information upfront, not just to the driver, but to the dispatcher and to the operations back in headquarters here in Guragaon or wherever. It's vital, because that's ensure that customers can get where they want to go, and it's affordable transport, it's convenient, but also it's enjoyable, but ultimately that they arrive to their families safe.
So, what, in your opinion, are some unique challenges that you have seen in India? And if you can put some light on different innovative methods that you have seen companies try to solve those challenges when it comes to transitioning into EV?
I think what's been exciting in India, unlike some of the other markets that we've been building mobility offers for, is that it's not just a one sector or one form factor approach. Many of the developed markets, the primary form factor is a four-wheel passenger vehicle. But not in India. India, you have all forms of transport trying to coexist on the streets. And that's a challenge. But actually, that actually enables then for different affordable routes of travel to be available to customers, be it a two-wheeler, be it a three-wheeler for goods delivery, be it a four-wheeler, be it a small truck, be it a bus. All of these vehicle and these form factors are on the road today in India. And that's fairly unique. Not many countries in the world do you see such multi-form factors coexisting. That presents challenges.
Yeah.
What kind of charging infrastructure needs to be able and flexible enough to deal with multiple types of form factors. So I was there at a charging hub yesterday, and I saw that there's a charging station which is serving both trucks and buses. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that anywhere else except in China. You don't see that anywhere else. But because you've got different types of form factors having to provide services for customers and for fleets, then they present challenges. But in the end, it's how do you ensure that these different form factors coexist on the road?
Yesterday we had a intracity bus, we had an intercity bus of ours, then we had three-wheelers, we had four-wheelers, all getting charged at the same hub.
Yes.
With different kind of charger capacities,
Yeah.
with different kind of supply chain and operating modules for everyone.
And I think that's quite a unique model that's being built in India, and I think that's something that's quite laudable, because capital is in scarce supply. So it's how capital efficient can you be? There's always a challenge with some of these form factors, especially when they're new, that they may not survive on these road conditions. And what I like with these very enterprising solutions that are coming up from young companies is that they're trying to solve for Indian road conditions. And that I think will enable many of these business models to survive and scale. They're not just importing models that have been built elsewhere, but they are developing models that are scalable for the Indian ecosystem, which can then be exported further.
I think indigenous is the way to go when it comes to managing such a once in a lifetime kind of a shift which is happening in commercial mobility and in personal mobility also. But since we are more concerned about commercial mobility, so I'll reserve my comments for that. We have seen that happening in two-wheelers, three-wheelers at a very large scale. We are not seeing it happening in four-wheelers. In fact, we have seen it happening in the four-wheelers also in the last 3-4 years. And in commercial heavy vehicles, the transition has just started. And we are trying to be at the spearhead of that revolution. On the financing front, there are still certain challenges that we see in getting the heavy commercial vehicles financed with the typical sources of financing, primarily because the life cycle of the asset is quite large, quite long, right? The typical life that we see for ICE vehicles is between 4 to 7, 8 years. On the contrary, in a very sharp contrast, the hypothesis regarding the life cycle of this electric asset is anywhere between 12 to 16 years. So exactly double of that. And it's difficult for anyone to take a bet on the life cycle that is this long. So we are trying to solve it in multifarious methods, wherein we are enabling our bus operator partners to transition into EV in a manner that their long-term interests are protected, and at the same point of time, they are able to take the benefits. They are able to reap the benefits of the longer asset life and thus better utilization rates. So what are your opinions regarding the problem that financing presents in a country like India?
Yeah, I guess it's a challenge because the billions and billions of kilometers that, let's say, Tesla has enjoyed over the years has made many asset managers comfortable about financing that asset class. But when you get to electric vehicles, which are, let's say, three-wheelers or trucks and buses, it becomes a natural challenge because many of the asset managers are unsure about, as you said, how long will that asset live? How long would it last versus, let's say, the ICE version of it? But some of it will just be a matter of time, over a period of time, as operators get more and more experience, and there are many more electric buses on the road. And actually, at the Delhi terminus yesterday, I saw many operators already having e-buses on the road, which really made me happy. Because yes, it's difficult in the first few years. Somebody has to finance it. Maybe you have to hold some on your balance sheet. But more and more you see these buses on the road, the more comfortable the asset managers will get over time. And also perhaps sharing the risk. So you may want to consider financing options which enable, let's say, the operators and the owners and the banks to share the risk together. Because at the end of the day, you do need the electrification of transport to happen also in buses. It has to happen. And actually, you need this to happen even faster. We're seeing the effects of climate change happening in the cities, and we have to find these solutions. And it can't just be a tier 1 city solution. It's got to work across the country. And buses are a vital form factor for ensuring that that happens across the country.
No, of course. And also from a very strictly financial performance standpoint, running an electric buses on most of the corridors in India is actually cheaper than running a diesel bus.
Isn't that something? Isn't that?
That's the, I would say, the biggest stimuli that this sector has. And that is why we are seeing companies and bus operators now being more and more open to idea of transitioning into electric. Because today this benefit is about 5 to 10% of the operating cost. Tomorrow this is going to be 15 to 20%. For a bus, that translates into roughly about $30,000 a year, which is a significant amount.
I think it might help. Maybe you should invite some of the owners to ride a bus with you and for them to experience as well, not just from let's say the ride, but from as a customer, what it is like, just how enjoyable it is. And actually, like I saw on your app that customers can see whether the bus that they're about to book is an electric or not. And from what I understand is that many customers are now actively choosing to ride electric if they have a choice, and that's showing that there is huge demand because customers love it, and that's something which operators they have to see themselves, and the owners have to see themselves that actually this is what customers want. It's a much better ride. It's enjoyable, and it gets me safe from A to B.
Yeah, yeah. And this is what we have been also very careful about from day one. We have recently launched our electric fleet, and in the process of selecting which bus we want to go with, which OEM we want to partner with, we have not at all compromised with quality, because we understand that in the beginning years of electrification, both from an operator lens as well as the traveler lens, it's of absolute importance that they do not see the electric form factor in any way less competent or compromised compared to an ICE bus. They have to see and imagine and feel it to be a step in a more modern, more convenient, and more safe direction, right? And that is only when that initial pull that we are able to see in terms of travelers being really curious and really excited about traveling into noiseless, seamless electric vehicles will really get captured and quantified into something uh, sizable over years, right? So we have been very careful about curating that experience, right from the selection of the OEM to designing the whole operational module, because the operational module for operating an electric bus is substantially different than the operating module of an ICE bus, because the fueling here takes substantially longer period of time, something towards which everyone is working towards reducing that, but that will happen in due time. But today, the matter of the fact is that refueling an electric bus takes approximately 4 times more time compared to an ICE bus. And your whole operations need to be designed accordingly so that the experience of the users do not get compromised. And that is one area in which GOBP has helped us a lot, right? They have set up state-of-the-art charging stations across the country on the routes that we have deployed, and we are in the process of deploying more electric fleet to make sure that the buses which operate on fixed schedules operate in a manner which do not compromise the timings and the schedules of the travelers who have booked their tickets beforehand.
I think beyond just your personal story, when I first met you, one of the things that attracted me to Zingbus and what you were building, two of the things actually. One was the fact that you have deep experience running buses. So regardless of fuel type, you've known how to run buses for a long time. And so this transition to electric buses has actually been less of a headache, let's say, more seamless for you to actually do. And I think for any impact investor, any investor looking in this space, it's something which you have that experience, which is fantastic. And the other fact is that you're using other companies like GOBP to help you with accelerating the electrification along those bus routes, because it's really hard. And you have to be able to ensure that you've got the charging infrastructure, both at the terminus, maybe at pit stops, whenever you need it, to be able to ensure that you can convince mom and pop operators or mom and pop owners to be able to buy and switch to electric buses. That gives bus owners and gives operators the confidence of making sure that the next bus that they buy is electric, ensuring that there is charging infrastructure as well available to make sure that they can continue providing services for customers in a seamless way, but in a way that benefits everyone, because it reduces cost to the operations, but customers love it.
Yeah, I think that's the secret sauce, and you have briefed it really well, right? Summarized it really well, in fact. That's the secret sauce, and all of us who are trying to lead this revolution into EV are basically aiming to play our role as the catalyst into this transition, which is bigger and which is bigger than all of us, right? And this is the direction that the sooner the better for humanity altogether. All of these global warming, these incidences that we have seen happening in the hills lately in the country, all of this basically points us in this direction that we have to transition into more renewable, more clean sources of energy as soon as possible. Uh, I know that you keep visiting India a lot, but say a year from now, what is it? What is that one thing that you would really love to see happening in this space that you feel so dearly about?
It'd be brilliant to see logistics solutions, more and more logistics solutions be available in the country. What you see now is everybody is desperate for stuff to be delivered within 10 minutes. I'm not sure whether 10 minutes is the right amount, but everyone has gotten spoiled. So everyone wants, at a personal level, my breakfast come in 10 minutes. That charger that I'm missing in the meeting room to come in 10 minutes, that's hard. How do you get that delivered and get that delivered when you've got congested roads? It's pretty difficult. So it's how do you get more and more form factors, which will enable then the movement of goods in a more seamless way, but that doesn't lead to more and more congestion. I saw a company in Chennai some months ago, which has developed something called an e-plane, and so I think electric takeoff and landing will be a feature in India, maybe not in a year, but certainly within 2 years.
Oh, wow. Thanks for doing this, Sophia. And we really loved you having here. And it was very inspirational to hear you and your views about electrification globally and particularly in India.
And I just want to say thank you to you, Prashant, and to your the entire team at Zingbus. What you're building is something quite special, and we're happy to be a small part of that journey. But I look forward to seeing more and more of your buses taking people safely, and for people to continue to enjoy the experience of riding in a Zingbus.